Today is March the 8th, and today we hear about a tribe in Israel starting a new religion. Which one? Well, let's find out as we study Judges 17 together. Today we begin the study of the last 5 chapters of the book of Judges, and there is not much encouraging in any of these chapters. They're kind of depressing, so steel yourself and get ready. Judges chapter 17 is a fairly short chapter. We're going to read all of it and just make some comments along the way. There was a man named Micah who lived in the hill country of Ephraim. One day he said to his mother, "I heard you place a curse on the person who stole 1,100 pieces of silver from you." "Well, I have the money. I was the one who took it." "The Lord bless you for admitting it," his mother replied. He returned the money to her, and she said, "I now dedicate these silver coins to the Lord. In honor of my son, I'll have an image carved and an idol cast." There's a curse here. The son had stolen the money, first problem. There is a blessing when he gives the money back. But it's interesting that when the mother receives the money back, she says, "Oh, thank the Lord, let me now make an idol." It just shows how far Israel has fallen. Verse 4, so when he returned the money to his mother, he took 200 of the silver coins, gave them to a silversmith who made them into an image and an idol. These were placed in Micah's house. Micah set up a shrine for the idol. He also made a sacred ephod and some household idols. Then he installed one of his sons as his personal priest. What he does here is he actually begins a brand new religion. He is from the tribe of Ephraim, apparently, but he makes one of his sons the priest. He has the idol. He makes additional household idols, probably of wood, and then creates an ephod, which, as we've seen before in the book of Judges, they use to determine God's will. He puts it all together, and he has a brand new religion. In verse 6, in those days Israel had no king. All the people did whatever seemed right in their own eyes. We'll come back to that. That's a summary statement for all 5 of these chapters. And we will see in almost every chapter returning to this statement. Verse 7. One day a young Levite who had been living in Bethlehem in Judah arrived in that area. He left Bethlehem in search of another place to live. And as he traveled, he came to the hill country at Ephraim. He happened to stop at Micah's house as he was traveling through. "Where are you from?" Micah asked him. He replied, "I'm a Levite from Bethlehem in Judah. I'm looking for a place to live." "Well, stay here with me," Micah said. "You can be a father and a priest to me. I'll give you 10 pieces of silver a year, plus a change of clothes and your food." Well, the Levite agreed to this, and the young man became like one of Micah's sons. So Micah installed the Levite as his personal priest, and he lived in Micah's house. "I know the Lord will bless me now," Micah said, "because I have a Levite serving as a priest." Several things about this chapter. First of all, notice the detail. Up to this point in the book of Judges, we're simply told Israel began to worship other gods. Here we have great detail in how Israel began to worship another god. And it was actually not something that they picked up and learned from the nations around them. This was something they did themselves. Micah the Ephraimite begins a new religion all on his own. Now he creates an idol and an ephod. He wants to have a physical representation of who it is because of what we see in the next chapter. He is saying this is the Lord, this is Jehovah, but it's an image. It's a silver image and an ephod. Now, Ephraim is not that far away from Bethel. They could have gone to the sanctuary, to the tabernacle, to worship God, to hear God's voice. But Micah decided, no, I want to do it on my own. This is what's right in my own eyes. Then we see him installing one of his sons as a priest, and finally a Levite. Now the Levites were from the tribe of Levi, but if they are called a Levite, they are not yet a priest. Maybe they'll never become a priest. Maybe they will always be a Levite. They serve in the temple. Some of them might someday become a priest, but the vast majority won't. Here we have a Levite who's given the chance to be a priest, and so he takes the chance. Verse 6, sort of the hinge, the pivoting point of the whole chapter. In those days, Israel had no king. All the people did whatever seemed right in their own eyes. This seemed like a good idea to Micah, so that's what he does. What about you? To what extent do you do what's right in your own eyes? God's will for us, he wants to make known, and sometimes that will is different from what we think is best. Doesn't matter. We need to do his will. Don't do what's right in your own eyes. Look to him. Look to his word. Do what he wants. I encourage you to like or follow on the platform you use to listen to this devotional. If you have any questions, email them to us at questions@becomehope.com. Tomorrow, we'll hear of a tribe looking for a new home.